An explosion of mud at 4 p.m. local time on November 11, 2024, an unusual disaster struck in the nation of Colombia. All of a sudden, a geyser of mud burst from the ground, rising 45 meters or 148 feet into the air. As more than 1,000 metric tons of mud was ejected every second, a bad situation turned worse when all of a sudden the mud ignited. This immediately singed everything in a 100-meter radius, being followed by an expanding 800-meter or 2,625-foot high fireball which shot into the sky, carrying with it large amounts of debris. Thereafter, a burning plume continued rising high into the air as the eruption of mud continued. Then, only a few minutes after it began, the ejection of mud almost completely ceased. Following this, mud extended during the early morning hours of November 12. Another eruption of mud occurred, this time with no ignition happening, with mud rapidly flowing as much as a kilometer downslope. In total, approximately 150,000 cubic meters of mud was emplaced, covering 24 acres or 0.1 square kilometers of land. So, what exactly had just occurred? An uncommon paroxysm and eruption of a mud volcano known as El Aburrido. Mud volcanoes, despite their mud volcano information name, are not true volcanoes, as they do not erupt any lava. While mud volcanoes can be associated with actual volcanoes such as at the Salton Buttes volcano in California where carbon dioxide propels mud upwards due to the heat transferred from underlying magma, they can also form in non-volcanic environments due to the at-depth presence of natural gas deposits. In other words, all that is needed for a mud volcano to form is a layer of loose sediment, groundwater, and abundant pressurized gas underground. This is why, for example, the nation of Azerbaijan contains half of the world's mud volcanoes, due to its abundant natural gas reserves. And, some of its mud volcanoes have recently produced eruptions which ignited large amounts of rising methane, including Dasli Ada on July 4, 2021, which produced a 500-meter high fireball. For context, the nation of Colombia, despite containing 14 active volcanoes including one which is erupting right now, also contains a high number of mud volcanoes due to its natural gas reserves. Most of these mud volcanoes are located in a narrow strip of land that marks two natural gas fields between the cities of Apartado and a spot 40 kilometers south of Cartagena. The natural gas in this geology and formation originated due to the decomposition of organic material due to heat and pressure at depth over an extensive period of time, which was specifically emplaced inside a rock type known as a turbidite. Turbidites represent layers of rocks and sediment emplaced by turbidity currents, which are essentially underwater landslides in oceans or other bodies of water. In this case, northwest Colombia contained an inland sea where these rocks were deposited between 61 and 55 million years ago. As the remains of ancient marine microorganisms buried underneath these rocks and a layer of limestone, it generated large amounts of natural gas, albeit primarily methane. This gas remained trapped under the surface and was subsequently overlaid by 2,200 feet of rock until a series of large thrust faults formed. This created gaps in the overlying caprock, meaning the